Generation X. In general terms, those born between 1965 and 1980. Latchkey kids, independent, existentialism, modern philosophy focusing on personal experience, human ability, and responsibility in an otherwise meaningless universe. We're the cause. This is the effect. We're the Gen Existentialists. Welcome in, friends, to the Gen Existentialist podcast. My name is Scott.
And I'm Bunny.
And we are here to expound extemporaneously for the next 20 minutes or so on any number of different things. We will spin Mega Wheel the Magnificent, and Bunny, Mega Wheel has been upgraded again.
Yeah, she's gained a few over the last few weeks. She's up to almost 1,500 questions now.
Almost 1,500
I think
questions.
we were at 1,499.
So
close.
Couldn't come up with something else to throw in?
No, I tried to come up with something on my own, and I was like, man, 1,500 questions is a lot. We're going to be repeating ourselves. So
I'm going to go ahead and give Mega Wheel a spin and see what kind of wonderment we can come up with.
Did you see I used the dreaded AI that everybody's so mad about, and I made you a new picture for the center.
So the picture is actually AI.
Yeah.
That's good
said
because
sad fat woman.
Yeah, if someone actually existed that looked like the picture on Mega Wheel,
well,
that would be horrifying. Just tragic. Yeah. Okay, ready? First question. Should we hold people accountable for actions they committed many years ago? What do you say?
Sure. I mean, depends on the actions, I suppose. If you're one of these people that really believes that people can change and, it was just a transgression they did when they were a youngster or something. It's like, I'll let things go if you did it when you were dumb, like back before you were 30, I guess, if you were still kind of living it up in your college and post-college and pre-college years, if you're goofing around and being a hellion or a seed spreader or what have you, then sure,
A seed spreader?
A seed spreader. That's the farming equivalent of someone who's sowing a lot of oats. Okay. So, but yeah, so I let some of that slide. But I also think, if you were out like robbing old ladies and stealing cars and killing people, then by all means, Yeah. I don't think tigers change their stripes too often.
No, I don't think they do either. And my answer to this would also be yes. People should be held accountable for things they committed many years ago. Now, maybe that accountability isn't like, I don't want to talk about, I hate even bringing this up, canceling people. But people have to be accountable in that it's part of their history. It's something to be remembered. And if someone did something heinous 30 years ago and they have made up for it, then sure, it becomes a footnote. I absolutely get that. But as soon as I read the question, the thing that popped into my head was that picture of Mitch McConnell accepting some kind of award, and the backdrop of this, wherever he was the battle flag of the Army of Northern Virginia, the stars and bars, the quote unquote Confederate flag. And, to allow yourself to have that picture taken in front of that kind of background as a politician, the guy has to be held accountable for that. And I get it. He's a senator from Kentucky, but at the same time, the optics of it, and he couldn't have known at the time how culture was going to go and change. But I always think of that picture and I go, man, what a goof. What a stupid thing to do.
No worse than Justin Trudeau in blackface or Indian face. Yeah, absolutely. Running around, or J.D. Vance dressed as a girl at some party, or, some of these other politicians dressed in blackface or Klan robes, for funny dress-up parties.
Quote-unquote funny.
It's a thing. I think something that cancel culture side of politics needs to understand is there's a difference between accountability and forgiving someone. Like, you can forgive someone for any sort of transgression they did in the past, but that's a personal choice between you and your God, or you and your conscience.
If someone is
But
made
accountability
amends,
is just a thing, It's like,
Sure.
did you do something? Yeah. Well, you can't really change that. You can't
Right.
take back a bullet. You can't
Yeah.
unmake the cake, as they say. It's just something that happened. That's part of your history. And if you made a mistake, or if you did something deliberately because you were young and dumb, then you have to own up to it, and then you have to do your best to just either embrace it and say, to hell with everybody. I did it and I had fun.
Yeah.
Or to say, hey, I'm really sorry, and get on your knees and crawl and hope they forgive you.
Well, you can make amends, and
Sure.
sometimes it's not even about forgiveness. I mean, some things, I don't want to say they can't be forgiven, but there are some things that you just kind of go, okay, you did it. You said you're sorry. I still don't want anything to do with you.
Sure. Like I
because
said,
that
that's your personal choice. Forgiveness is always a personal thing. Some people would forgive you if you did the most heinous thing.
Right.
Your parents, perhaps, your close friends. Other people won't forgive you if you did something dumb when you were in college, but you made amends and you kissed ass and you crawled because they just want to hit you over the head with something. It makes them feel good.
Some people won't forgive you if you don't say good morning to them once.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So it's a very personal thing. Forgiveness is a personal thing. Accountability is completely separate.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. Let's jump back to Mega Wheel the Magnificent and give a spin. It's just so horrifying to watch. It really is. The photo in the center of the wheel is.
See, I don't get to see the wheel. I don't know what's going on. So this is my way of sticking it to the man, if you will.
Okay, this is a great question. Would you rather have large functional angel wings or large functional bat wings?
I would say angel wings would be my goal for that.
Why?
Because you grow feathers, so I could stuff pillows. Plus, all the ladies would think I was cool because they'd be like, "Oh, he's so angelic. Look at him." Archangel was like the hot comic book guy, like for a long time, and you can present as good. Even if you aren't, if you got bat wings, that's just a whole other. You're just a bad boy. You don't have anything to stuff pillows with except guano, maybe. But I mean, you don't have a lot going on. It's scary. So it's like, well, if you want to be scary, get your bat wings. If you want to be cool, get your angel wings.
See, I'm going to go the exact opposite.
Okay.
I would rather have the large functional bat wings, and here's why: bat wings are much more just that functional. You can use them as separate appendages. I mean, you can't really hook anything or grab onto anything with angel wings, but bat wings, you can actually like crawl around and do different stuff with. You can kind of cloak yourself with them more easily than angel wings. And there is that added like bad boy thing that would go along with them. Oh, he's got bat wings.
Yeah.
Look at him.
Or
Look at
come
that.
to me when your pillows get flat.
And that would be the thing. I wouldn't be shedding feathers everywhere I go. I wouldn't walk into a wall and drop feathers and stuff on the floor. I wouldn't need a separate cleaning service to come up behind me and collect my feathers and stuff.
There you go. So you just got to marry a chick who's really into feathers or somebody who likes to write with quills.
Quills, there you go. That would be good too. Should we give her another spin?
Yeah.
All right, we are spinning. And by the way, I am remembering to delete these as they occur and drop off there so that we can keep track of Mega Wheel. All right, next question. Who was the most influential mentor in your career so far?
Wow. I've had a lot of mentors. It's really, I'm going to cop out and say it's really hard to pick just one because I've gone through so many stages of my career, from being a neophyte, and learning my way up the ropes.
I mean, we are Gen X. We've both been in our careers for some time now.
Yeah, for at least 30 years for most of us, if not more. I'll tell you, I'll tell you two stories. Quick stories.
Yeah.
Of people who were very influential to me when I was very young.
Yep.
And very eager and very hungry to learn things. There was a gentleman, his last name was Gorman. So it's Patrick Gorman. He was a librarian. He was an information services librarian at Steele Library at Northern Kentucky University. Mm-hmm. And he and I struck up a friendship out of nowhere. And he was really big into the internet. This is when the internet was just becoming a thing for us. So this was 95, maybe
mid-90s.
96. Yeah, we were getting out of the Pine Elm and Lynx stage, and we were going into GUIs, graphical user interfaces. And he was one of the first adopters of Netscape.
Yeah.
Which was the first graphical browser back in the day. And we'd always have these asides, and we'd get together in his office and show me how to use the internet and all these cool sites, and show me how to download games and mod things and do some behind the scenes sort of coding work and that. And he just really kind of took time out of his schedule to work with a young guy who was really eager to learn about the internet, learn how to really embrace and use the internet for more than just, posting on boards and, and looking at naked ladies or whatever online. This was, we were learning how to build HTML. We were learning all these things way back in the day, and it was really cool. So Gorman is one of them. I will tell you a separate story about a person who helped me in my D&D career, Dungeons and Dragons, which is not technically a career,
sure,
although some of us make money out of it. But there was a gentleman named Kelly, was his name, and I met him once again at NKU. This was back when I was 15 or 16, probably 15.
Yeah.
My mother drove me and a friend of ours to NKU for an anime and role-playing games convention that they tried to have there this one year.
Cool.
And it was packed full of weirdos and geeks doing all these crazy games and stuff. And me and my friend have been playing D&D for a while. It's Travis I'm referring to.
Yeah.
But we didn't really know what we were doing, just kind of goofing off. And ended up playing with these guys who we thought were much older.
Yeah.
All these guys are ancient. Look at them. They were probably in their 20s.
Yeah.
But Kelly was really cool about things. He was like, hey, if you guys really want to play, we have a game at my house, blah, blah, blah. You can come to the actual real game.
Sure.
And this was so cool for us because we were young and dumb. We were talking about being young and dumb in the past question. We were young and dumb, and talked my folks into allowing us to do that, and we went over, and all of his friends were older. Mm-hmm. There were girls there who were older and just gorgeous. And the kids' basement was like replete with your Frank Frazetta posters and your Lord of the Rings posters and all the, heavy metal music and blah, blah, blah. And he was so good with us that whole summer, let us borrow magazines and stuff, like Dragon magazines at the time, like role-playing game magazines. And his friends were cool with us being there, and they didn't treat us like little kids and all that. And then he ended up moving away, which I assume he's probably going back to college or in the service or something.
Yeah.
And we just completely lost touch. I don't even remember the guy's last name.
Wow.
I tell you, he lived on Colonial Drive is all I know.
Yeah.
And out in Erlanger. And in the rare off chance that Patrick or Kelly are out there listening, I just want to say thank you so much, because these kind of things, that's what I aspire to be to younger people now.
Yeah.
It's like I have a friend who young daughter wants to be a dungeon master or a GM.
Sure. Yeah.
And every time they come to visit, I work with her.
That's cool.
And it's it's just awesome to work with younger people who are interested in learning things. And
creating
stuff,
other links in the chain.
Yeah, so that was a really long answer to a relatively short question. But yeah, those are two that now I've had hundreds of people that have been angels, mentors, whatever in my past. So I don't want to discount any of those folks, but those are two that just stuck out to me.
That's awesome. And when I first read the question, I figured it was going to be fairly lengthy, because whenever you talk about mentorship, it can be just like a quick Q&A, somebody that's there to bounce ideas off of. It could be somebody that has had a lasting impact and maybe still does on your life. So I'll go with two as well. I had one when I was a nascent musician, and I still have him as a friend. His name's Homer Shadowheart. He was my first bass instructor, and that's going back to 1987. I met him at Mashnot's Music in Newport. That's where I took bass lessons. And it was one of those things where my parents signed me up because one of their things when they agreed to get me a bass for my birthday was, look, you have to take lessons. It's cool. We'll get you this. Yes. But you have to take lessons. You can't just like blah. So I'm like, yeah, sure. And they called and set up the lessons. And it was the funniest thing because we were told the instructor's name is Homer. And so that conjures images in your head, of just the name. Who's this going to be? And in my head, I don't think I've ever told him this. In my head, I pictured like somebody that plays country. They've just, that's their thing. They're a good musician, but they're probably not going to be into the same stuff I am. And I still remember him coming up the stairs from the instructional studios that were down in the basement at Mashinot's. Long hair, teased up in the front. And I'm just like, I hope that's Homer. And it was. And it was just the coolest thing because we went downstairs and in his instructional studio, there's a big poster of Gene Simmons on the wall and all this other stuff. I'm just like, this is going to be great because I found somebody that's into the same stuff I am and they know how to do this and they're going to mentor me. And we're still really good friends. I still love the guy. I mean, a lot of how I play came from those first few years. And so I absolutely consider him a mentor.
Cool.
The other one is a guy named Jermaine Green because he was my first supervisor at Kentucky OSHA. And I was coming in from an industrial background and, obviously I'd gone through college and everything, but compliance and government work and how to do the job was foreign. And I had a lot to learn. And I think everybody in that first 6 months that I was there, that I went out on inspections with, Jennifer Monroe, Tim Capel, Renato Barato, Tony Bledsoe, all those folks had an impact on me. But Jermaine being my supervisor, every time I went out, I'd come back, talk to him about what we did and go through stuff. And from that point on, until he left the state, he was such a mentor to me. Took me under his wing, talked me through stuff, and was always there. It was one of those cases where the door is always open.
I think
any question I hit, he was there.
I think the big question is, was it an angel wing or a bat wing that he took you under?
For him, angel wing.
Okay.
Because
good
I
guy.
needed it, and it was good. And he's still a friend of mine. And we bonded over other stuff too. He's a big Star Wars fan, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So that was cool. And actually, the other podcast I do, the Safety Scouting Report, he's one of the people that I'm going to tap in to do an interview about occupational safety and health at some point in the near future.
So
I've already
tune
talked
into
to him
that,
about
kids,
that.
and you'll get to meet one of Scott's mentors.
Yeah, you absolutely will. So I think we
Can we
killed
squeak
them.
one? Can we squeak one more in?
Oh, absolutely.
All right.
We've got time for one more, but
Let's do
that
it.
did go pretty long
Yeah.
on mentors. And I would challenge anybody listening to this, and they probably already are because we've blown 10 minutes talking about mentors. But think about the mentors in your life, and if you're still in touch with them, let them know.
Yeah.
Because that kind of stuff is important.
And if you're not, if something's happened along the way and they're no longer around, strive to mirror what they did for you for someone else, because
absolutely,
you can have that kind of impact on someone as well.
Yeah. So we will give Mega Wheel of Magnificent another spin, and we are definitely under the 1,500 questions. So if you have a question you would like to send us, you can contact us here on the page that you're listening.
Yeah, just drop us a line through anywhere that you found us. And Meg is hungry, so you gotta give her some more questions.
Okay. Who's your go-to band or artist when you can't decide on something to listen to?
Go-to band is probably Guided by Voices if I'm out of ideas.
Yeah.
And I just want something to listen to get me by the day. It's probably Dayton's own Guided by Voices.
Okay.
How about you?
you would probably think that my go-to, if I can't decide what to listen to, you would probably think that it would be Maiden. It would be any number of the other, U2, okay. Any of the other bands that you see on the wall. But it actually, well, it kind of is, because there's one poster up there. If I can't decide what to listen to, if I'm completely at a loss, I'm probably going to pick David Bowie. And here's why. Because across his long career, there's almost every kind of music that you can picture. Mm-hmm. And so you just dive into the David Bowie folder, and there's going to be something there. Even if it's just a style or a theme, hit that, let it go, and it's kind of a palate cleanser. Sure. For me musically, is just listening to some Bowie. It kind of resets my musical head. All right. And I love that kind of stuff. So let's do one more. Let's get a total of 5. Get a total of 5 in for this episode.
Bonus question.
Bonus question from Mega Wheel the Magnificent. Oh, she ended up on her side.
Oh, she's so big.
She's
so thin. She's so
Svelte.
Oh, thin mint. Sorry.
Holy cow.
We're just going bad here. Sorry.
Okay. All right. You ready?
Yeah.
What's a belief you held strongly as a kid that you've changed your mind about as an adult? Crickets.
Okay. Here's one. It's not, I don't know. It's kind of a downer. But I thought when I was a child that everyone would be able to get over themselves and get along in the future. Mm-hmm. I really thought that there would be, I didn't know if there'd be world peace in my time, but I thought for sure that, life would be have a little more togetherness in it. And boy, if the last 20 years have not pulled those scales off your eyes, you are certainly an idealistic fool. So that would be one of mine. How about you?
I think very similarly, a belief I held as a kid was that being an adult would be much more free, that being an adult would have more time to just learn and just allow yourself to wallow in things that you enjoy. And don't get me wrong. I mean, once you're out of high school, out of college, you are free. You can do what you want, but there are the trappings of reality. Like, you've got to pay bills.
You got to eat, baby.
You got to eat. You've got to have health insurance and all that kind of stuff. I didn't realize as a kid how tightly those shackles held adults. Mm-hmm. And looking back, I could have seen it, but my parents made them very less noticeable.
Yeah.
And
I think most good parents do.
Yeah. Like I didn't see it as much. Mm-hmm. And I feel it very much now, especially right now. Because there's so much that I want to do. There's so much that I want to read. There's so much that I want to study. I want to just take weeks and just come into this room in the studio and just write and compose and play. But that's not the reality of adulthood.
Oh, yeah.
So that's what I've changed my mind about, is all those chains were there just waiting to lock onto my wrists and my ankles. And I had walked into them and I was dragging them behind me before I even realized it.
People are programmed from birth that, you're programmed into this algorithm. This is what you do.
This is the Matrix.
Well, I mean, this is what you do. And I mean, some people on top of that have children.
Yeah.
And other family that they have to take care of and they have to provide for. So that even lessens the time. I mean, think about the amount of time you have now being childless.
Yes, absolutely.
Compared to what you would be if you had let's say a disabled sibling or 2 or 3 kids.
Yeah.
Or grandchildren, that you were babysitting and other things. I mean, because you don't realize how much free range time you have as a child and a teenager.
Right.
And that's one of the curses of life, I think, is that when you're a child, you always feel like you don't have enough time to do what you want to do. And I got to go to school. I got to go.
The old saying, youth is wasted on the young.
It's true.
Yeah, it is.
It really is. Because, and not to crap on being an adult, kids, if you're out there listening. It's something you look forward to, and there are some amazing things you can do as an adult.
There are benefits.
You can completely roll your life right off the rails if you want, and there won't be anybody there to yell at you about it. You can go drinking all night and whoring and drive off a cliff. You
may end up in jail or on the streets destitute, but you can do that.
Yeah, you can do any crazy thing you want as an adult, but cooler heads prevail and the programming kicks in, and you start to fall in line, and you
for most of us the programming kicks in.
Well, you look for full-time work. You start being more and more compliant, I think was a word you used earlier. Yeah. And I think compliance is something that nobody talks about with adulthood, but you really you start to learn that when you're a kid, and it really kicks in when you're an adult.
Yeah.
And absolutely. By the time you throw those shackles off when you're elderly, you're too sick and tired
to do anything
with it. I hate to see that. I mean, we were talking about, we just had, a neighbor pass away recently.
Yeah.
This is a guy who was retired, and he had all these great ideas. He was going to start doing, weekly tea things, like tea talks at his house, and he was writing books, and he was doing all this amazing stuff, and snap.
Now he's gone.
Something happens, you don't expect it, and then you're sick, and then you're gone.
And that's why, I'm bound and determined to retire, quote unquote, early.
Sure.
I hate to keep bringing this up, but being diabetic, my expiration date is nearer than all my friends and people I know.
You think that now?
I do. Yeah.
You don't know that. No,
but I don't know that, but it's probably. Mm-hmm. And I want that time.
Sure.
To that's the biggest thing. The belief held strongly as a kid that I completely changed about now. I thought time was limitless. Time stretched like the best rubber band, and it just never snapped. And as an adult, I recognize that time is so compact.
Yeah, it's compressing.
And so tiny and hard to manipulate. It doesn't stretch as easily when you're an adult at all.
True.
And on that somber note, we appreciate you listening to the Gen Existentialist podcast. My name is Scott.
And I'm Bunny.
And we will catch you next time. Have a good one.